Hello tankers! Today we're going to be starting a project of rescaping my Apistogramma Hongsloi tank. I think it's due. Oh, the parents aren't fighting anymore, so we might have another batch coming soon. There's currently a small group of fry in there, which I'll be removing during this process. Won't really have a tank to put them in yet, at least one where I can ensure their safety. So I may put them into a breeder box and power feed them up a little bit more, but they'll eventually go into one of the grow outs. I had started a project of rescaping my guppy tank with a lava rock sort of pseudo live rock coral type setup where it's going to have epiphyte plants throughout it. And it came to me that it would actually look quite good in here, especially with the white white sand mixed with gravel. I'll give an explanation of everything that's in the tank and how it operates during the process, but we're going to be removing everything from here except that crypt in the back. Super healthy. I like its position. I'm actually going to leave it intact. I've got one structure built and glued and silicone together, and the other structure I plan to make, I'm just going to make it in the tank. The reason for the gluing and silicone was it was intentionally to keep it together in a tall tank, because initially it was going to be in a 2-foot tall tank and I didn't want it to topple over. But now that it's much shorter, I won't need to glue it. And I've got a good handful of plants. We got like wavy green boost. We've got Catagang, I think that's how you say it, boost. I've got Anubias, and they're going to be tucked into the live rock, kind of simulating a coral type in freshwater. But one of the main reasons, this has a basic light, not a big powerful planted like all my other ones. And if you've had epiphyte plants, Anubias specifically, it's really hard to keep algae off of them. They are just notoriously covered. So I'm going to actually do my epiphyte project in a tank that has a more reasonable light, and it will be well over enough for them. Like that Java fern in the center there, it was tiny when I put it in here, so that light does perfect for that kind of stuff. This tank will be nothing but the pair of Apistogramma, and some autos are in there as well, and snails. There's snails in all my tanks. So we'll be filming the process, the tear down, the clean, the reset up. I'll give you a rundown of everything that is used to operate this tank. Hopefully some good close-ups of the fish in it. But it should be a fun process, and I'm excited to have all those epiphyte plants and all those rock structures with the nooks and crannies and caves for Apistogramma to hide in and breed in, because they are a cave / crevice spawner. So they need all that stuff to spawn properly, and then once spawning is done, the male turns into a raging a-hole. So a good place for her to hide too. Stay tuned. All right, start by draining it down here. I like to do it through a net just because there's fry in here. So I have shut off all the equipment. And I'm just draining into a bucket. So, slight timing problem. We have eggs on the inside of this cave. Now, This cave was not part of the design to go back in. I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm doing with those. I might put them in the box with the fry and see what happens. For now, I'm just gonna put it into the bucket so that they stay moist, but I mean, that's great news. Just poor timing. Well, let's get back to it. Let's try to get some of these guys out. And I'm gonna separate the fry from the parents. Try to work around this crypt that I intend to leave alone. Get my nice male. Okay, we're all emptied. So the first thing to go in, you'll see some clips of me putting it together, is basically this kind of structure of lava rock. Now, it wasn't originally designed for this tank, so I am hoping that it still can actually fit. Try to do this without making a huge mess. Okay, so we're in. Let's just shuffle it around now, shall we? That was the general plan. Have it in a corner, hide in the intake, and there'll be some kind of around the front. So the main reason that I decided to switch to this tank again is that, you know, gravel looks a bit more like sand from a beach. It is in fact pool filter sand, and it is mixed with playground gravel, actually. To give it just kind of a darker, I want to say messier look than just plain sand wood. So let's try getting some more stuff in here. Yeah, just have fun, play around, see what you like, see what you don't. The other structure on the side, we are building with loose lava rock. I've got a bucket of it. And I'm going to be building it around the crypt because I do like the way that crypt looks. And then, like I said, I've got the epiphyte plants that we'll be putting into different crevices along the rock. Again, I do have my spray bottle to prevent drying out of any plants. Straightforward, keep them moist. All right. Big old bucket of lava rock. Now, it has been rinsed, so has that, but it will still go off some dust. So what I'm going to be doing is setting it, putting the plants, filling it up, and just running a hang-on back with some filter floss in it for a few hours to get all the dust out there before I put the fish in. So this may take some maneuvering to kind of figure out how you want to do it. I'm intentionally trying to make caves and crevices behind. For the female to hide when she needs to. And like I mentioned earlier, full bag of lava rock has cost you like $8. Fun stuff to work with, nice and cheap. Cheap and easy. Now I'm not going to go as big as that one over here. I just don't want it to be too uniform, I guess I'll say. And I do have, you may have seen earlier, that giant, well not giant, but that large Java fern that came out. I haven't decided whether I'm going to put it back in again. I was thinking about tucking it back in here so it kind of grows up the top, but I'm going to have to see what it looks like first. But ideally I'd like to reuse it. No other tank right now has a place for me to put it. Luckily enough, because it's such a shallow tank, I don't need to glue any of these together. And this tank with the light gets very little algae. That's why I'm doing the FFA plants into this one. So if they're touching the side, it's not going to be the end of the world because I won't need to scrape behind them. Not to mention it's on the sides where you cannot see. I would never have something touching the front. Lava rock is an amazing aquascaping tool. Now, no discredit to pet stores or whatnot. Support them, absolutely. The cost of a chunk of lava rock, in my opinion, is insane in comparison to just going to your Canadian Tire or Home Depot, Rona, Lowe's, whatever. Again, we're in Canada, so I don't entirely know what the state stores are. The current in this tank isn't overly strong. I have these are homemade tubes. They are covered in algae, just ignore that. But there is a Sun canister filter. You might be able to see it, a little white one. I found that at Value Village, actually, for like $5.99 or something like that. And decided, sure, it's not strong enough for any of my bigger tanks, but it should suffice for a little 10-gallon. If you're wondering where the fish are, they are in a bucket behind me, and I do have an air stone and a sponge filter running it right now. The fry is in a different bucket, so hopefully that batch of eggs hatch and I can have some more fry. Hongsloi are not a common fish in my area. I had to drive an hour and a half to a store that carried them. The other benefit to lava rock is the beneficial bacteria that can grow on it. There is going to be an enormous amount of spots for beneficial bacteria to grow in this tank. I like it. I like it. All right, now I'm going to grab all the plants. All right, here we are. They were floating in another tank, so they're all loose. But some of them I may be able to split in half. Have two to put somewhere. Nice. So we got a little Anubias. We have a nice little bush of Anubias petite. Now this is one that I'm pretty sure I want to cut up. It is very large in comparison to the rest of the stuff going in, of course. So I think I'm just going to actually right down the center of the rhizome. Just make sure you got sharp scissors. Take a little snip. Okay, that gave us a little chunk right there. And that gave us two little chunks. And they've all got roots, of course. You know, if you put them in without roots, it's going to be a while before they grow. Now, you don't want to bury rhizomes on epiphyte plants. Now, you can bury the roots, but not the rhizome. The rhizome will rot if you bury it. It needs water flow over it. So now we have Bucephalandra, wavy green, would be this one. Now, is it big enough to cut into two? Sure. Don't think I want to though. I think this one I'm going to keep intact. Another Anubias. And this, I'd say, is a size that I'm going to keep as is. A tiny little piece of wavy green goose with a massive root on it. So we'll get a little bit of that. I'm keeping it large because obviously I want this one to grow being so small. Now we have a boost here. This is the Catagang. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, don't rip me apart. This one is large enough where I can get a good 3 plants off of it, so I'm going to find my cut spots. And we'll use roots on most of them, so pull that root aside. There we go, I didn't have to cut that one. Good little chunk. Now these are, I'm not going to say red, because depending on your light they won't actually be red, but they are more of a brown reddish color. So they do add some nice pops. Another Anubias. What looks barren? Down here, because we're gonna have a Java fern back there, so down here looks a little barren. Little pieces that came off of much larger ones. Got to be as budget as we can, so use every piece we possibly can, right? We're going to grab that Java fern, which is just currently sitting with all the fish here. It was attached to a lot of rocks. Its roots are bonkers. Yeah, see. It was attached to one lava rock, but its roots have just gone insane. So we are going to take off of most of those. Let's see how I can make this work, because it's grown out straight, which it's just grown in a straight line. doesn't look very appealing. But if I could find a way to secure it in a circular motion, well, now we have a pretty darn good looking Java fern, don't we? I could use glue, that is definitely an option. But I just tuck it in with roots. Like that. Alright, we're gonna get a good old armpit shot here as I try to get this one fed into the back. Ooh, I like that. I'm quite pleased with that. I'm not gonna lie. So here's it all filled up. Currently have its filter running. The water that I put in is warmer than the temperature water. I didn't spend too much time fiddle-faddling around with it because I'm probably going to do a water change on it. And I'm also more than likely actually going to put the water that they're currently in the bucket back in as their water. As the Apistogramma, to breed them or to condition them to breed, I drastically reduced the hardness. I did like a 40% water change with RO water to drop the hardness way down, because that's how they prefer to breed. So I'm going to put theirs back in so it is still around the same. But I'll pour you in for a look around, and you can see the flow of the filter when you can see all the particles moving around. That looks pretty good, I think. Does the job. The right side better than it was before. None of the plants have been dislodged. Got a bit of flow in our crypt leaves and our Java fern leaf there. And yeah, so you can see the flow up there. It's pretty good flow. And it does form the whole loop where it goes full loop like that. Bear in mind also, both of these structures do have caves formed in the back of them. They're not just a big pile of rocks. As you saw me put them in, I made sure that there was caves behind, and there's also space behind that one, so that the fish can hide when they need to. But I decided I'm not going to bother with a filter floss hang on back here. This filter does a pretty darn good job of keeping it clean. It has a fine pad in the filter as well. But I'm quite happy with it in comparison. The crypt might be a bit more overpowering than I expected it to be. I thought it would be a little bit more of a side thing, but that's fine. The autos will love to go all over that. I love how the Java fern spun up into a nice coil there. And a good amount of the epiphyte plants. And when they all start to blossom, or not blossom, when they all start to grow outwards, there'll be nice little round, almost like coral or an anemone or anything like that. So I am nicknaming this one the pseudo reef, or freshwater reef, maybe a FReef. Maybe I'll patent that one. It's a FReef tank. All right, we're all filled up. Still a little dusty, but I got the fish ready to go in. First, what we're going to be doing is putting a little bit of leaf zone in there. I do have all-in-one fertilizers as well, but seeing as we used their existing water, it won't be necessary for the nitrates that come along with those. So just follow the directions. Circulate around a little bit. I have already treated it with Aqua Essentials as well. I use Aqua Essential as my dechlorinator. I do use Prime as well, but I found that this seems to cause less issues with my shrimps. Shrimp. Don't pluralize that. Shrimp. All right, well, let's pour in our family here and see what happens. Alright, we got male and female Apistogramma Hongsloi, and we have 2 auto sinkless. Alright. And the Apistogramma are also hiding because they are, of course, terrified. But we're going to allow them acclimating in here, getting used to it, exploring, and we're going to come back with a final shot after it's all cleared up and the fish are out and swimming around. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Okay, it's looking quite clear. Apistogramma are still hiding, except for the female, who's just right there. I'm going to put some baby brine in here and see if we can attract some attention from them both. Just use a turkey baster. Okay. Where are you guys? The autos don't seem to care. They're all out here in the middle there. I did notice both of them exploring the caves behind the structures. It's great, they're finding their homes. I just wanted to get a good shot of them both. But you may have to settle for the female. There's the male right there, coming peeking out. His colors still aren't perfect yet, he's still a bit stressed out, but once he's had a good meal, his reds will come back. They have been chasing each other around a bit, because as you can see by her colors being yellow, she is ready to breed. Now that makes sense considering we found eggs, but hopefully she's still got some, so she chases him around. But that should stop soon. He's got plenty of hiding spots. But overall, I'm quite happy with the tank. Good to keep up on the fertilizers, make sure these epiphytes get a good hold on there. Hopefully some more eggs happen. But please drop a like, drop a comment, follow, tell your friends. I'm trying to get some more people into it. This whole setup didn't cost much at all. It has, that's an Aqueon light. It's pretty basic. It's not meant for plants, so to speak. It's just a regular daylight, but it does have some blues in it, which I think made it a good candidate for this style of tank. I love Apistogramma. Tank's just a 10-gallon basic hold. Then we got the canister filter that I did tell you about. It's the old Sun. Alright, well, I'll leave you with a nice shot here, and hopefully see you guys again soon.